Hey y'all, we're here to talk about concept 4. We're going to talk about one of our triangle classifications in a little bit more depth when we talk about isosceles triangles. So remember, we classified a triangle as isosceles if it had two congruent sides, two sides with the same length. And the other thing that's unique about an isosceles triangle is that it has two congruent base angles. So two of the three angles in an isosceles triangle we call base angles, and they're congruent to each other. The way we determine which angles are the base angles is that they are opposite of the two congruent sides. So let me show you what I mean about opposite. Here in this triangle I have that segment AB, so side AB, and segment AC, side AC, are congruent. And we know that because of the two little congruent slashes. Oops. So segment AC is congruent to segment AB. That also means that AC, the length of AC, is equal to the length of AB. So we said that the base angles were congruent and they're opposite from the congruent sides. So I know it's opposite if I can draw a line, or I'll draw an arrow from the side I'm talking about. So AC goes through the triangle and points at the angle. So angle B is opposite from line segment AC. Similarly, if I go from AB through the triangle, point at C, angle C is opposite from segment AB. So angle B and angle C are my base angles, and they are congruent to each other because they are opposite of the congruent sides. So we know angle C is congruent to angle B. So that makes their measures equal. The measure of angle C is equal to the measure of angle B. So we can use that to find different values in isosceles triangles. As soon as I know that two sides are congruent in a triangle, I know that that triangle is isosceles. So I know that the angles across from the congruent sides are congruent. So that means here that this angle X is also the same as that angle right there, X. So now I can go back to the last lesson. Those three angles should add up to, you guessed it, 180 degrees. So 37 plus X equals 180. I can do some algebra here, and I can find out that X is 71.5 degrees. We also can figure out if two angles are congruent to each other. So these guys are congruent. Then they're opposite sides. So this time I'm going to start at the angle, go through, and point at the side. Those opposite sides are congruent to each other. So this side and this side should be equal in length. So that means X is 15 centimeters. So go ahead here, pause this video, and find the value of X in each figure. It should be pretty similar to the previous examples. So in this first figure, I have these two sides congruent. So I'm going to figure out that these two angles are also congruent. So if this guy is 61, then this guy is 61. So I'm looking for X. I can add those three together. They should equal 180. Do some solving, and X is 58. And I need to be specific, degrees. Over here I have two congruent angles. So the sides opposite of them are congruent to each other. So X should be congruent to 3.5. Those lengths should be equal. They're both 3.5 inches. Go ahead and use your information about isosceles triangles. Answer these two you-try questions. Find the value of X. And we'll see you in class.